Martin, welcome to episode 72 of Illuminating Rounds.
Hello, Dave.
We've both had little holidays. How you been?
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, very, very well, thank you. Had a fantastic time away. Yeah.
I heard that you were carried up the highest mountain by your kids.
I climbed the highest mountain in England. That's right, with my kids. They climbed it. I crawled to the top when I got there. And we were swimming in the deepest lake in England in a fantastic, fantastic place. It was absolutely beautiful. So remote. I had no internet, no telephone connection.
What else did you have, Martin?
Tent poles we talking about. I've got a lovely big family tent, and we put it in the car. We drove 300 miles on some very, very, very countrified roads that took ages to go. That's a whole other story. Got out of the car, unloaded the tent. I had no poles, so we had nowhere to sleep. we found a workaround eventually, but it was a little bit of a stressful start.
It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But your kids took it in the spirit it was intended, and you had a good time.
Yeah, Megan was furious with me. I mean, took it pretty laid back. But yeah, we got it all sorted out, and we were all fine. Yeah,
brilliant. That's brilliant. And what is the highest mountain in the UK?
It's Scafell Pike in England. It's not the highest in the British Isles by any means, but it's the highest in England, and it's about 1,000 meters. And I'll tell you what, it's a long way up.
Yeah,
a long way up, and some of it's like scrambling, like proper climbing and stuff like that. So, and it was all misty. I can send you some pictures if you want to.
Put some pictures. We'll put the pictures up now. Yeah, put the pictures.
That'd be fantastic. They're here now.
Yeah, here we go. I was fishing in one of the lowest points in the UK because sea level, I guess.
Oh, not Stevenage.
No.
Yeah.
No. So I went to Great Yarmouth and did some fishing out there. And we caught fish that were this big, and obviously put them back because they're little baby ones. And that was it really. It was very different, but yeah, very nice. So all good. Right, today what we're going to talk about? We're going to talk about. Well, first of all, we're going to thank our patrons. So we have brand new Patreon. Asad Rustum. So Rustum, thank you very much for your patronage. And he joins the two July patrons, Michael Nair and Jobo Fett as well. So again, thank you to those guys. Whilst we're talking about patrons, we should say that Morris and Stefan are doing an amazing job of the AFV and guns that are now available on the Scenario Archive for Patreons. If you enable it in your page, you'll get the pictures. The AFVs in particular are an absolute, I'm going to say thankless job. I'm thanking these guys profusely for what they're doing. They're doing a really, really good job. There are literally thousands of these to go through to identify the counter, and in some places where it's in the counter, we have to find out where the counter comes from, and they have to create the image or whatever it is, find the images. So Morris and Stefan are doing an amazing job, and it's all for the patrons to enjoy. So thank you. If you're a patron, you can see the graphics on the Scenario Archive for that. So big thanks to those guys, and they're continuing that good work.
Yeah, amazing.
Pretty good. Right, we played East Bank from the action pack, which was not the one that we were going to play, which was We Are Sparta. We didn't think we'd get it done in time before our respective holidays, and it was fine because we got it done, didn't we? We got East Bank done in an evening, which is quite nice. So we're going to go through that. We're going to talk about the controversy of the ASL bracket because when we had a recount of the ASL annuals versus Festung Budapest, literally 26-26, it was a dead heat. So
unbelievable.
There's only one way to decide this, Martin.
Of course, we're going to toss a coin.
Going to toss
a virtual coin. Yeah.
So a virtual coin is going to be tossed, and that's going to be done. And we're then going to talk about.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. For that. For King and Country was an easy victor against Doom Battalions, so that's that. And I'm also going to talk about a kind of a fan-based project, the Sassel MGP project, which I stumbled across earlier in the month, and so I'm going to talk about that as well. So, Are you ready, Martin?
I'm all ready to go. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, first things first. Let's toss a coin and find out if Festung Budapest was the rightful victor against the ASL annuals.
I love the way the the community is so finely divided on this issue. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want to call it then?
Okay, so
I've got a virtual flipper here.
So heads, it will be the annuals, and tails, it will be Festung Budapest.
Okay, so I'm flipping now. It's spinning. It's tails.
So that's Festung Budapest. So okay, so it did sneak through on a coin toss.
Technical victory.
And what that does, by the way, is that sets up an amazing second round coming up, which is against red barricades. So
this is in the end, we're going to find out what is the most favoured MMP official product in the world.
And you can't do it more scientifically than we've done it. So I think this is a peer reviewable process.
Excellent.
And I mean, unless we're going to play every scenario and then figure out our our top rated ones. Yeah.
Well, that's an ambition, isn't it?
Try that. Okay, all right. So let's talk about East Bank. So East Bank, you can see the scenario now is on the screen. I took the Americans. You are the North Koreans. This is an action pack from the most recent action pack 17. It's a peat shelling scenario. It's quite interesting. So if we look at the thing, hang on seconds. So if we look at the card, the Americans have 8 squads, along with 4 dummy counters in this setup, and they are up against 16 North Korean squads. The interesting thing here is that the Americans have an 81mm mortar that is hip, and you can see it's actually sitting here in H3, I think. Let's just find that screen. So so here's the mortar, and it can be spotted by a designated half squad, or 126 green half squad, and this guy can spot with very reduced penalties, only +1, and can be within 3 hexes as long as it's in line of sight of the mortar. So that's a nice way to cover potentially two angles if the North Koreans decide to go for one side or another. So my setup was that I had the dummies mostly on the right hand side, the lower side here, but my right hand side, and I used an extra dummy counter in L7. The victory conditions are that the North Koreans have to exit off the left hand side of this map, but they also have to try to remove Americans from the buildings on the map. So for every American unit or victory point that's come off, you can kind of offset by having Americans inside these buildings on the map. So this is kind of fighting withdrawal-esque in that I'm trying to stop you coming back, and you've got the decision to make as to how many units you're going to send forward and how many you're going to try and keep off the buildings. And it's a little bit like where fighting withdrawal has that decision right at the end, where the Russians really have to decide, okay, how many are they going to kind of hold back, and then the Finnish decide they're going to push off X number and try and stop the remaining Russians from coming off the board. You have a little bit of that decision as well to be made.
Yeah.
Scenario at the moment is a little bit pro North Korean, but I don't think we found it particularly unbalanced when we were playing. I don't think it was.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. And any thoughts, Martin? Before we start?
It's worth pointing out that we've got in-season paddy fields instead of the grain.
Right.
So there's a couple of like some minor terrain things like that.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that caught me out a couple of times because I kept forgetting. So paddy fields are inherent, which is key. And they cost more to go up, don't they? And to kind of
because you've got to cross the bank to get into them. You can also move much more cheaply along the bank, but you're in open ground then.
Right. Okay. All right. Yeah. So what could go wrong with my defense?
So I've got mine set up really in sort of 3 platoons. The one at the top is meant to. The original plan is he's just going to barge through and go off board. The middle group is going to try and pin you and push you out of the buildings, and the bottom group is going to try and keep as many units as possible in the bottom half of the board. That's the sort of the plan.
And that's a little bit based on. So because we can talk about this. This is a little bit like Jim's excellent article in the From the Cellar, where he has talked about the kind of assigning roles again for your units, a little bit like Toby did on the defence. In kind of like company size, platoon size unit. So
I don't think I stick to that plan for very long, but that's the plan.
Well, but it's a plan. A plan is a good thing. So so obviously not bamboo or anything like that in here. But I think you make pretty good progress. Oh, you've got a commissar as well, haven't you? Which is quite.
Yes, that's right.
Nice.
Yeah.
So on you come. No effective defensive fire at all, and then take a shot. Yeah, take a shot with my mortar.
A malfunction.
That's right.
Mortar,
I try and hit the hex here.
Yeah.
And that's not going to work.
No.
So not a great start. All right. So now we had a couple of questions here, didn't we? Because we wasn't sure whether or not I have to reveal. We thought I didn't have to reveal my my mortar for being broken, given that it's out of line of sight from everything. But there might be I'm not certain. There might be a hip thing that we've got wrong there. So if anyone wants to correct us on that, that's absolutely fine. But whether a hip mortar that breaks, because obviously the other thing is potentially. Well, maybe it should think about it. It should have broken because the 6 automatically reveals it.
Oh, that's true.
So maybe that's. I think we got that wrong anyway.
But I think you still have to have something in line of sight, don't you?
I'm not so sure. Yeah. That's why. Okay, that's the question. So so it's malfunctioned.
P5, by the way, is the commissar. He's there to catch the brokers.
Yeah, and he does a great job here. So so we break a couple of your guys here, and a little bit of advancing fire there.
Yeah.
Your guys are back being talked to by the commissar here. So my turn.
Yeah.
We fire ineptly into the then the heavy machine gun just.
You broke a squad, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, that's right. And the bazooka didn't do much good there. But again, some great fire from the medium machine gun as well here. So.
Yeah, lots of broken units.
Yeah,
that's what
exactly. He was
just this fellow.
A busy commissar.
Yeah.
But after one turn of rallying, all of these DM North Koreans are back up again.
Yeah.
It's always a bit demoralising, isn't it, when that happens? When you think you've done a good enough job stopping them. Heavy machine gun starts to get surrounded. A timely low roll.
Yes. I'm starting to see a few actual KIA casualties as well, aren't I?
Yeah. Now, it's not to my advantage here to take prisoners, but it is to your advantage because you'll be able to use them as victory points to get off. My heavy machine gun squad breaks. And I'm feeling pretty desperate at this point. So if you look here, you've got this pin squad, you've got four squads, and it's being held off by a crew with a broken mortar and a 666, and that's it pretty much. I mean, there's...
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, I'm not even aware of the broken mortar.
Right. Yeah. Insult to injury, you're going to pick up my heavy machine gun.
Yeah.
I break my mortar on the repair roll. And again, there's another question here. We think that he's out of line of sight from everything, so he doesn't get revealed from trying to do the repair. I break the mortar, the bazooka.
I'm not sure if a crew can remain concealed after he's effectively ceased to be manning a gun.
I assume if he's hip and the gun just disappears. But it's kind of moot because I decided to move him anyway. I kind of withdraw.
So it feels like a little bit of a breakthrough here, doesn't it?
I thought at this point I was lost.
Of course, the crew's going to help to shore up the side.
Yeah, so the crew here.
Really struggling at the bottom, though. Really struggling at the bottom to get anywhere. But I do feel like you've got forces countering me there, and that's making it worthwhile.
Exactly. And in reality, I've got a pinned half squad. I've got a bunch of dummies.
That's right. Of course, I don't realise they're dummies. Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I think at this point you do the right thing. You got to get across this little bit of open ground. I roll the 10, which looks like it's going to be the end for me. We've got.
I think
yeah. So this was what happened here. We had.
This is a debate about you taking prisoners or not. I think.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So you've got. So I think did you capture something here, or did you? What happened here? Oh, didn't you heat a battle? Was this the heat of battle that double 6?
That's right. A surrender roll, yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So there was a, yeah. So
and you declared no quarter.
That's right. So I don't take the surrender.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're gonna carry on. So now you're kind of breaking through here.
Yeah, I think I should have been a bit more punchy on that side there.
So I think this was potentially the mistake. I think if you had broken through here, you kind of had me on the top. But you've not unreasonably go round to DM these guys here, which is a good move as well. So that's a big stack.
But you get a good shot. Oh no, you miss it.
Yeah, we're trying to think, how do I get myself out of this trouble?
Yeah.
So a bit of advanced firing going on. This crew, the half squad down there are doing great. Okay, so you advance him. Yeah. All right, so it's all looking pretty grim here for the Americans.
It's looking grim for you, yeah.
We've got the pinned 666. We've got the evens, and we've got you against
close combats aren't like overwhelmingly in my favour though.
Right. So what happens here? We've got was it an ambush that I think this is the one I think I should have withdrew from, and I didn't withdraw.
Yeah.
I should have withdrawn because I think I won the ambush there and decided to attack you, which I shouldn't have done. But that's that. You roll another. Oh, this is the one, the close combat here that I win the ambush.
You could have withdrawn,
you half squad in. That's the one I should have withdrew from.
Yeah.
And then
those are dummies.
Yeah. So I mean, it's looking good for you here.
We really pushed you away from the buildings.
Yep.
It's awkward that I failed to DM the guy in E2 because obviously he's just come back, hasn't he?
That's right.
But yeah, it certainly feels like things are going quite well at the moment.
And this is where we talked about this before. Sometimes good play doesn't get rewarded, and in this instance, both my guys rally.
Yeah.
And now you're facing, some ridiculous 30 firepower.
Yes, that's right.
All for trying to do the right thing.
It's less effective than it might have been.
Well, so I kind of split the fire up a bit down here. So I start to find a machine gun down here. Now this is where I missed the banks being
that's right
inherent. So this is where we kind of make a little mistake here. But we'll catch it shortly. So there's a bunch of DMing going on here. We think that we've half squadded you. Then I go and fire again at the next guy, DM him. And then we realise that actually it's not as bad as all that. I mean, it's still bad for you, but they're not half squadded. We go back and we check that. And I only pin you up here. So that's one of those things here. So you are the crew. Yeah, the crew hold you off here. This is this is a risky shot. The 4-up-1 that DM'd you here. I think I probably should have been falling back here, but
does the job.
And then we've got the Yeah, prep fire, and he hits you. Oh, this was one of the things we had, didn't we? When we talked about, so Jim in his article talks about taking the shots closest to the sniper first if they are very meaningful, and it was true. And a couple of times that was good advice that would have helped someone.
Okay. Yeah.
So some more retreats here. I'm able to. One of the things with the 5.27s is they really do struggle with things like interdiction and stuff like that, and it really does make a big difference, doesn't it, with that kind of stuff. So you're able to right away. I jump into close combat here to kind of give you the chef's kiss of the annoying move that you were unfortunate with. Now, I mean, they are green. So in theory, you could go for a capture attempt here, I suppose.
The problem is you might still get killed by because you've still got a 5-4-6 in there and 9-1 leader. You've got a reasonable chance of killing me.
Very
but as it happens, you only half squad me, don't you?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sensing blood in the water there a little bit.
You fired into the melee here, didn't you? And broke us both.
Yeah.
And so we drew here.
Struggling to raise things. I think my commissar's been killed by a sniper, hasn't it?
That's right. The sniper got 2 of your leaders, I think.
Yeah, that's right. There's a very hard-working wounded 8-0 in there somewhere.
That's right. Now here you're going to push again, and again you're still looking pretty okay here in the middle.
Yeah.
You got
this is. I think this is where I go wrong actually.
So we could do it's almost like spot the ball here, where you could say now point the moment where it goes wrong for Martin, So yeah,
See,
I
think
get
very
shot
clever.
off the crew. That crew has been a bane of your life. They can't fire a mortar to save their lives, but they shoot guns. They shoot their rifles. Here I catch you with a 2 down 2 shot as you're bypassing here.
Yeah. Obviously. Yeah.
And I think you're going to you've got this debate about whether you're going to jump into the close combat. You've broken both my guys here. Because this is where you fired into the melee, sorry.
Yeah.
So here you fired into the melee. My guys are broken, just the leader.
Yeah.
And you're going to jump in here. So what have we got here? Your guy. So your guy's broke as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now, luckily, one of your guys now has to surrender or is eliminated, and this guy also is going to be in trouble. We haven't spotted this just yet in the game, but we will do. This guy has to rout because there's a guy in I5.
Correct.
So he's actually eliminated as well because he can't go adjacent to the melee or towards the crew. So in you go into the melee, which is looking pretty grim for me here. And you roll a 10 against my guys who are withdrawing.
Yeah.
And it's not enough.
No.
So they managed to withdraw. The leader survives in there.
Yes. Well, I don't think I can attack him.
Holding off 20 guys. Of course, my guy here self-rallies.
Yep. Well, he's got the leader, hasn't he?
The guy at the top in D2.
Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah. And now it's really, I'm really up against it here. It's actually struggling a little bit with the number of movement factors I've got available.
That's right, yeah. Now I'm able to do a Martin move and attack Austin defeats. But at this point, I have very few buildings. So it really is a case of...
get a half squad off almost.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think I have no buildings right now. So
of course, you've got time to potentially move back into them.
Yes. But it's definitely noticeable. I get lucky with a close combat roll and get a double 1 and get a 6+1 leader. You clear up the melee in H5, and we withdraw here. So yeah, you have 2 turns left.
Yeah.
Now you have the problem because you've got a crew here. We've got the leader and we've got a half squad in buildings.
Yeah.
So my thoughts here was that perhaps the guys down in W10 or in J6 should push and try and clear out these guys here, and presumably the wounded leader might be able to get this guy back.
Yeah.
And maybe the 527s here make the run for it.
Yeah.
Kind of up the hex here.
Yeah.
So it's definitely still in it for you here.
Yeah.
You don't get the guys back here, which is unlucky. So let me start doing some counting. Now you're going to make a run for it. So that's one of the classic one residual gets you there. I may
You get me there as well.
Yeah, and this is now where I think you're going to run for these guys rather than take the shots. And yeah, you fail the morale check on the residual here and concede the game. It was good. It was a good game.
It was a good game, actually. Yeah, I'd play it again. I'd quite like to have another go at one day at perhaps against someone else. But
Thanks.
It was quite an interesting attack, and I do feel like it started quite well, and then I kind of mucked it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And the DC charge was with the wrong group at the beginning. It should have been in the village, and things like that. But it was a very enjoyable game. Yeah. And we've managed to even up a little bit, haven't we? Because I think it might have been 6-1 when we played it, and now it's 8-2.
Yeah, I think it was 4-1 when we played it, and it was out on the.
So it's actually stayed even with your win. It's still a 1 quarter.
Well, it's because of Raw's got it 8-2 now, and I think the Archive's got it maybe 1-1 or something like that now, maybe a little bit more. So, but it was tough for the Americans, but I don't think it was. Yeah. It's definitely not unwinnable. It's going to be a little bit dicey, I think, with the heavy machine gun and the mortar if they do well.
Yes,
but it was a nice little scenario for an evening.
So, but we were both in a bit of a rush, weren't we? We were both getting ready to go away and wanted to get it done.
Yeah, exactly.
So, very good game.
Yeah, it was good. Good. Okay, well, thank you for that. Right, okay then. So, Martin, the brackets, Hacker Palais against the Winter Offensive bonus packs.
Yeah, tough one here.
This is tough, isn't it? I looked at some of the plays. So, total number of plays for the most popular scenarios in Hacker Palais, 118 each for 11th Company Attack and for Stopped Cold. Very similar numbers on the more popular scenarios for Winter Offensive. So French Toast and Bacon, very, very popular, but about 180. And then, down to the sort of low 30s, 40s, 50s for some of the less popular scenarios, which is a similar number for the less popular numbers on Hacker Palais. Some 13 plays, So the only way out, for example, is 13 plays.
Numbers of plays is a really interesting sort of way of looking at it, because obviously that gives you an indication of just how much these games are being enjoyed. But of course, sometimes they're really, really good scenarios that are just very big and people just don't have time to play them. So you end up with something that's got 20 plays, but it doesn't reflect perhaps how good that scenario is. But I think this is a really interesting one because these are both such important products. Okay, so Winter Offensive, there are a lot of games now. There's a lot of scenarios out there now from Winter Offensive. They all tend to be really good. You can see from those numbers they're really popular. I always enjoy, getting a new Winter Offensive pack. Hacker Palais, I think, on the other hand, has all that kind of really interesting stuff because you've got a few extra rules in there, haven't you? Prepared fire zones. But you've also got lots of actions with skiers and stuff like that. So it's so James Bond having people skiing into action. and I think there's a lot of kind of like great ASL drama in some of those scenarios. And me and you are named on the credits of Hacker Palais.
I mean, which has spilled over to the Chapter H rulebook. So,
Unbelievable. We're all over the place now.
I mean, exactly. If that doesn't get us some, I don't know, some kudos in real life, I don't know what does.
Yeah.
Okay. So I look forward to Win Offensive packs, and I look forward to them particularly because there are only a few scenarios in them. So which sounds counterintuitive, but a bit like how certainly in the UK 30 years ago there was only 3 or 4 channels on TV. You'd go to school or work the next day and you'd be fairly confident that something you'd watched on TV someone else had watched, and you could talk about it very quickly. You know that, oh, did you see such and such? And it's a little bit like that with the Win Offensive packs, where a certain scenario comes out and there's a little bit of a buzz about it, and a lot of people have played that scenario in a very recent time, and that's quite a nice thing.
Yeah.
I suppose the same could be said for the scenarios in the core modules, but it feels like they're more spread out. The Winter Offensive packs feel a little bit more like they are relevant for a particular time, you know, and then they kind of drift away a little bit. Obviously, the boards are great, and we like that as well. I guess we should shout out still that the MMP, I think, donate a proportion of that money to a charity, I believe.
Yeah, that's true.
They certainly used to, which is a very good thing. I think one of our targets, Martin, should be to attend the MMP tournament. I think it's in Maryland, which I have no idea. Do you know where Maryland is?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you?
It's in New England, that little bit at the top. Yeah, around.
Should have been a geography teacher.
To Massachusetts and stuff like that. Yeah.
Good. I couldn't have told you if it was on the left or the right. I'm terrible with, so you know I can't criticise.
It's one of the original 13 colonies. So.
Oh, okay. Look at you. History and geography in one.
Probably completely wrong.
You're going to get the hate of the internet.
If I've guessed that right, that's going to be amazing.
What are you going to go for here?
I'm going to go for Hacker Party.
Okay, I'm going to go Winter Offensive. I can't.
I think it's very difficult to call this one. So we're going to go for a poll.
Yep. Yeah. For King and Country won the last poll, so we're all good there. So we'll put this one to a poll and see how we get with these ones. Okay. All right.
I think it's going to get harder from here as well, I think.
It does. Yeah, it does. There's no easy matches anymore, as they say in one of the stock phrases for the cup competitions here in England. So we're going to talk about from the Cellar Pack 12. Martin, you've got a beautiful copy of it there. Yeah,
mine's a bit. I took mine camping. I couldn't live without it. There's a pristine one there in Dave's hands.
Did you roll it up and use it as a?
I was just killing spiders and bugs. Couldn't be without it. Oh, Dave's is pristine.
But it has been read. So this is the Jim Bishop article. Talks about attacking an ASL. Yeah. We both read through this. What's your thoughts, Martin?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed going through it, and I tried to apply some of the principles although I hadn't completed reading it, actually, when we played. I'd read half of it, tried to apply some of the principles. And very often, and I said this because Jim asked what we thought about it by email, and sometimes there are things you know, but you don't always remember to apply. And it's really good to read something like this by, very, very sort of good player. To kind of refresh your refresh your approach to the game, actually, and to kind of just so you just be a little bit more careful and thoughtful about it. And there was some very, very thought-provoking things in there. There's quite an extensive thing about thinking of defensive fire phase when you're the attacker as the first part of your prep fire phase. It's essentially prep fire, isn't it? And then you've got a prep fire phase after that as well. And a lot of useful tips about thinking just ahead a little bit. So, and actually very, very good on AFVs as well. Some really, really interesting thoughts on AFVs.
Absolutely.
Well.
I definitely enjoyed that one.
Something I never do with AFVs. I don't really think of them as something that I can use to give my attacking infantry a way of routing.
Yeah,
I don't think of that. Yeah. And that's a really good use for them.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a key thing. And you're absolutely right. That use to give them the non-interdiction or to fire smoke to help out, that kind of use is really the difference between like a scalpel use and a sledgehammer. And I tend to focus on the sledgehammer approach of, park them somewhere, fire, panic about the other tanks that are better than me and all this kind of stuff. And when you see a skilled use of AFVs, either encircling or cutting out route paths or providing route paths for your units, it really does show, the difference between a good player and an average player, let's say.
Because you can do so much with them. Because you could potentially, you can move them. Of course, you can drop. You've got smoke dispensers, haven't you? You've got smoke grenades. You've got bounding fires. You've got overruns. So you can then plant them somewhere which will stop somebody from routing, or you can park them somewhere that will freeze the unit. There's just so many different ways you can use them in one go.
Yeah,
I think that's the thing, maximising what you get out of them.
Yeah,
whereas I can get one thing out of it.
Yeah.
Usually the smoke from it being a burning wreck normally helps my infantry advance later on, or whatever. It's actually about having getting a lot of value out of it.
I really enjoyed Jim's examples where he shows kind of parts from his game and talks about what he did and what his thought process was. And this really is it's gold dust in terms of like getting into the mind of a good player, understanding their thought processes. And Jim's going to say he's not great, but Jim is a top player, and there's no question.
And some of the examples are from games he witnessed anyway as well. So I agree with you. Jim's obviously a top player, but he's using examples from other top players as well. Right.
And there was that great example that he watched with the close combat, where it was all down to the victory points and whether or not you roll. To give you, you've eliminated yourself out of close combat, but you've won the game effectively. You roll anyway, and roll a double one, generate a leader, which is also killed, and then tips the victory points.
Yes,
I mean that kind of stuff. So knowing you haven't got to attack, it's going to come in 1 in 1,000 game.
Yeah. So I was going to say, it's kind of like understanding that kind of end game, and understanding those mechanisms and recognizing even that's a fairly unlikely event, isn't it? That's what's going to happen. If it might happen and you've won anyway, then obviously the way to go is to avoid that risk, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, if you think each game, for example, has, what would you say, 4 or 5 close combats in a scenario, and each one of those is a 3% chance of you generating a leader in those things, and so effectively there are 5 chances of 3% to get a leader. Now, that adds up. I know it's not 15%, but it works out that it will be, I don't know, maybe it's a 10% chance of you getting a leader from a close combat that maybe half the time will go on to die anyway in that. And if you are playing at a CVP cap, it's something worth thinking about. Okay, do you really want to attack back? I've lost my guys. Is the leader going to make a difference?
And there's lots of situations like that in ASL, I think, where you have to think very carefully about what the possible outcomes are. That's just one very good example of it.
So good. Thank you, Jim and Lafrantier, for producing this. I think this is excellent. I think more articles around this, and I know obviously now the defence has been done and the attack has been done, and I'd like to think there are still plenty of scope for other stuff. I'm still crying out for a campaign game guide to Red Barricades or Festung Budapest or Valor of the Guards, whatever. I mean, I think that kind of stuff is invaluable. But also we should mention that there are 10 or so scenarios from Scott Holst in the pack there. Interestingly, many of them use the overlays from Rivers to the Reich, and that's an overlay pack that I've not even. I couldn't even remember where it was. I went and found it, and I've seen that my overlay sheet is pristine and uncut, so I've never used an overlay from it. So it's great that someone's given Scott, the overlay pack, and go off and produce some scenarios or what for whatever reason that Scott's done that, because that brings some life into those overlays as well. So I'm sure we will, because we looked at this. Obviously, we were at a tournament we were going to play these scenarios and realised that we couldn't because a lot of them had the overlay. But that shouldn't put people off from playing on Vassal or whatever, because there's some interesting looking scenarios there as well. So good value, good.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, good. So the last thing I want to talk about, Martin, is a project I came across. Sassel MGP project. Now, this is a fan project from a guy called Andrea. I'll get his exact name. Oh, Andrea Fantozzi.
Oh yes, okay, yeah.
And this, I came across this through a Facebook group. So basically, what this is a solitaire extension. So it extends on the solitaire, the Sassel module from ASL, and creates new missions, a different kind of way of generating question mark counters on the board, and has a whole different bits and pieces. So, for example, it has a commander, a company commander as well. So you have a company commander with a half squad that's dedicated as your kind of command HQ. So it gives you a little bit more of the kind of command and control that ASL does lack, I think it's fair to say. 10 new missions. It's available for free. I sent Andrea a little bit of money to say thank you for what he's done. And then I sent it off to a print shop and got it spiral bound and everything just to have a copy of it. He's included things like cards as well for the terrain changes. So, all roads are paved, or, building rubbles and bits and pieces, and whether or not there are, rooftops are in effect, so that you can, I think the idea is you can either shuffle them up and put some into play to change the scenario a little bit. And he's also done a thing called, I think, Sassel Plus Plus. And what this does is makes the enemy a lot brighter and a lot kind of smarter in Sassel games. So the idea is you can play with just the MGP, the mission generation program, and you can play with the kind of advanced AI, if you like, to give you a little bit of a tougher time. And he recommends playing with both, but you don't have to. So I would love to see some log files from anybody that has played this or plays it on the back of us suggesting this. And we will highlight them. I will try and play a game as well. We'll try, if we just try and pick mission number 1 from this, just to show the different types of scenarios that can be sprung from one mission. So situation number 1, so that's an MGP situation. I will play one, Martin, if you'll play one, but probably by the end of September. So if anybody's able to play one of these scenarios on a log file, keep the log file, send it in to us.
How about this for a crazy idea? How about we get together one day and we both get the rules and we play our own solitaire games, so we've got a little bit of companionship while we're playing solitaire.
Yeah, well, we can do that by Vassal as well. We can do that, but yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we can do that. If there'll be a prize, we'll sort of prize out for someone that sends one, patron or a non-patron, doesn't matter. If you send us a log file, we'll put you in a hat to win a copy of something.
You're going to post a link for Andrea's.
I will post a link. Yeah, I'll post a link in the description below for this.
Did you play Sassel, Dave? I've never played Sassel.
I have played Sassel. Yeah, I played it a bit when I was in France. I lived in France for a year. And played there. And enjoyed it. I thought it was always good. And we have had some requests for us to play Sassel as well. Like, for example, if I pick up the rules and you play, and I'll play the unintelligent AI, if you like.
Yeah, that'd be fun to do.
And make the rules. So we will do that as well.
We should feature it. I mean, it seems to be like, to some extent, a slightly unloved sector of ASL. Although there are people like Legion who posts extensive after-action reports of campaigns. He does the whole big campaigns and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, I think although it does appear to be unloved, I think that there's a very big kind of silent community that play. There's certainly the Facebook groups for it, and there's a very big die-hard following for Sassel that we just don't see because we don't cross.
They don't go to tournaments. They're happy playing on their own. Yeah.
A Sassel tournament would be fairly quiet, wouldn't it? I'm sure it's possible because they do it. B17. I know at some of the big board gaming conventions they have tables of everybody playing B17, and they've all got their bomber. And they're all in the same kind of, they do it as a flight group or whatever. And there are
Yeah,
Sassel game.
I think if you enjoy a solitaire game, that doesn't mean that when you stop for a break, you don't want to have a chat at the bar with somebody, or when you've finished, have a meal with some like-minded individuals.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
perhaps that's a new thing for Britain. We'll have
Yeah.
the World Solitaire ASL
It's
tournament.
a tough sell to make on a tournament, though, isn't it? It is.
Yeah, maybe I'm barking up the wrong tree.
But the thing will be, there will be no arguments between players.
I tell you what, I tried to play Sassel, and it blows my head. I get so far through the rules, and I get it. I understand exactly what I've got to do, and then there's that command and control section, and I just go, I don't know if I can just process all of this at the same time. And twice I've tried, and twice at that point, I've kind of given up.
Okay.
But there's a bit of me thinks I should persevere and give it a go. I might quite enjoy it.
We will play it. So I will go through these rules. I'll send you the link as well. You can join the Facebook group, and you can grab that. Amazing job, Andrea. Thank you for doing such a. I mean, and by the way, I mean, he's laid it out, superbly.
Looks like a professional MMP. They should be employing that guy.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. There is rumours of a Sassel reprint. So
yeah,
I did see that. So
I think it's a bit of a I think so. It'd be lovely. I think it'd be great to have. I think I've got first edition,
right,
which I bought from somebody on eBay. I mean, it's the right state. It's all half photocopied and battered box and stuff like that. It's a mess. It's a mess. I would buy third edition.
Yes.
Sassel.
Okay.
Tomorrow. Yeah.
Good. All right. So we will play. So you and I will play a Sassel number one. Yeah, and we'll do a log file of it. And if anybody else wants to do
playing, and you're like the dungeon master, is that that's the idea here? Yeah. Okay, I'm up for that.
Yeah, and we would love other people to send in a log file as well. And by the end of September, so in October, we will do an episode where we just feature just solitaire. So we're going to do it with Andrea's rules, just to highlight those and to show. We're not going to go into deep dive of the differences, but we'll play with those rules, and we'd encourage everybody else to do the same thing as well. Yeah. Because that way we can see what turns up, and play whichever nations you want to play. Doesn't matter. We don't mind that.
Yeah.
Good. All right.
Excellent.
Anything else, Martin? Have we covered everything?
So I wanted to. This is a very, very quick item here, but I just wanted to suggest that that people start sending in maybe some pictures or whatever, sharing, because this is an underloved area of ASL, like playing ASL in unusual or amazing locations. This occurred to me when I was at the top of Scarfell Pike. I thought, wouldn't it be great to have a game of ASL with Dave up here? Yeah, and then there's a little island in this remote lake up in the mountains. Nobody about, absolutely cliffs either side. It's absolutely amazing. Little island, little table, little glass of whiskey each, moving the counters around. I can't imagine anything more wonderous. Or play Dinon in one of the like say there's a hotel that existed in 90s. It's on the map. Play a Dinon scenario there, or even the full campaign. I think we should be getting some ideas about where we play ASL, instead of it just being, just in the games room, in the house, whatever. I think that's a little thing for people to think about.
Brilliant. Okay, yeah, a little bit like Extreme Ironing, but with ASL.
Extreme Ironing, but with ASL. Yeah.
Talking of Dinon, I did talk to you about Dinon last week.
Yes.
I'm trying to twist your arm to carry on playing. We're halfway through, aren't we?
I'm up for it. I think you suggested we play last week, and I didn't feel like I had the time to just redigest the rules and think about where we were. But I'm 100% up for continuing to show you how to play the Dinon scenario campaign.
You are going to win that one, I think. But yes, so we're halfway through day 2 on that one. We will carry on playing it. We do need a little refresher of our minds to get back on it.
To be fair, we played it during the lockdowns, and then I went back to work, and it was very difficult to commit the time to it. And now I'm essentially on permanent lockdown. Yeah. I think it should be possible for us to pick it back up again.
And to give an idea of the scale, just because I know people have seen the size of it, and no doubt people have played it, but it takes us one whole evening to play one turn, doesn't it? I mean, that was the kind of speed that we do.
The early ones where we're bringing lots of things on, I think it does. Like all these things, it just speeds up a little bit, but it is quite a substantial job. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but we will get back to it, and that's the one we're going to go through and try and play, because I've never finished a campaign game. I think, if you don't count resignations early, which I'm sure I've done a few times.
Yeah.
I know my Pegasus Bridge campaigns against John O'Reilly didn't cover myself in glory. It covered myself in
No,
something.
I remember playing that against you actually, and I think I can't even remember which side I was, but at one point you lost every single unit you had, and it was the end of the date, so you'd have had a load more stuff, the next game, but you resigned.
Yeah, yeah. I think that sounds pretty sounds like me. Anyway, Barker, the shoe's on the other foot.
Yeah, absolutely. It's boots on the other foot at the moment. You've won the last 7 or 8 scenarios.
Yeah, we'll look into it. And what I'm going to do, because I sing when I'm winning, I am going to do a feature on the Scenario Archive where I'm going to show our longest winning and losing streaks.
Oh wow!
And you can filter by player, so we'll be able to find out your best winning streak and my best winning streak against each other.
Amazing.
So that will be coming up as well very soon.
So what's happening with the Play by Email tournament?
Well, Martin, why don't you tell us what's happening with the Play by Mail tournament?
Well, all I can tell you is that the slowest match has finally come to a close.
Okay, and that was between.
So it was between me and Jason, yeah, and it was in the end it was me that won. That's right. So that round is complete.
So you are now playing the final. I think it's Tim Reed. We'll confirm that, but I think it's Tim Reed. And you are playing Elephants Unleashed.
Yeah.
I wish you both good luck. Remember, you are playing for that beautiful diorama that.
So have other people's got started, have they?
You're in the final, Martin.
Oh right, is that the final?
This is the final coming up.
And I'm playing Tim.
You are playing Tim.
Oh,
I think
Tim
I'll confirm it with
absolutely
you.
smashed me in the first round.
Oh well.
I think it is, isn't it?
I mean,
let's have a look now. Absolutely smashed me. I can't even find it. I've obviously deleted it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
It was Tim. Excellent. Well, I look forward to that. To being schooled in ASL by Tim.
I am playing Dave Moresk in the Illuminating Rounds tournament on Friday night. We're going to play our one set in the stage.
Yeah.
So you're going to be in the final of the Play Mail tournament. I mean, Martin, I don't know if we were allowed to win our own tournaments, but I had the good grace to lose the final last time we were in the final.
I don't see why not. I mean, we're in a tournament, aren't we? So I think at the moment the biggest danger is not me winning the tournament. That's not the biggest danger.
The biggest danger is getting this diorama to Australia.
Being embarrassingly defeated. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Get in touch with Tim.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. All right then, guys. Thank you very much for everything, and thanks for your support. Thanks again to Maurice and Stefan for all the work they're doing on the Scenario Archive. One other thing, Jim Hoxie. I have to take a big shout out to Jim Hoxie as well. Jim Hoxie, I've chatted very infrequently to Jim. Jim is the absolute brawn behind the Scenario Archive in terms of content creation. A lot of people add information, not just Jim. Reed does a whole bunch. There's lots and lots of people that do. But Jim does it almost an order of magnitude above everybody else, perhaps even combined. It's phenomenal. I wanted to get Jim on here just to give him a video and say thanks. And Jim's not that type of guy, so that's okay. I don't mind. But I found out that Jim has never played an ASL scenario at all. He has done this enormous amount of work for the community, not just for us, but for the community. And so it's a big shout out and a big thank you to Jim. And Jim basically said, look, challenge other people to kind of get him to do as much as what he's done. So, there's a gauntlet that's been set there. But Jim, your phenomenal work on the Scenario Archive is put even into more perspective by the fact that you are not a 13 plays a week kind of guy. You are just doing it for the love of the community and the hobby. And so I hope that you still people recognise the amount of work that Jim's put into it, and a big thank you to him for what he's done. And
thank you,
don't stop, Jim, by the way. Don't stop. It's incredible. But thank you. Other than that, anything else, Martin?
No, that's
all
it.
Done. Right, we're going to go and play something. We're either going to play we're going to play We Are Sparta or Danon or something we're going to figure out for next time.
Figure it out, yeah.
All right. Okay. Until then, guys, take care. Bye-bye.